on my phone.
Oh, okay. That works then. That's fine. Then we don't need to share the PowerPoint, I guess, through your.
Get that off.
What? Who switched chairs with me and gave me the squeaky one back?
Don't look at me. I got nothing to do with it in here. Right, Kelly, I had to guess. Blame him.
It's gonna be hard for me to present sitting. I'm used to standing up and
Feel free to stand.
Hi, Gracie.
this is new for me to sit while I
I
present.
know. What was that?
Or that is cold.
You know what I'm gonna do? Does Emily have one of them chargers? What are these chargers?
No, those are the other.
I'm gonna steal papers. Got notes.
Mm.
It's not looking.
Just Rod and I, Josh is coming. And I think Lauren may be coming.
He said 5 minutes. Josh did.
How about Lauren?
I talked to him last week. So.
Okay.
Are you okay if I turn off the AC?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No, I'm good.
USB-C? Oh, that. I had a church. I can't.
I'm gonna blow it on you.
I'll go look. I might. I think I do it.
I
Good morning.
Oh, got a call this morning. I was out on. So
Oh, you just sneak out of the. Okay. Oops. Are
You
you ready?
guys are good to start. I'm gonna call Lauren and see.
You can, I can wait a couple minutes if you would like to. For a second.
This voicemail.
Okay. Well, we shall call this meeting to order. Are you recording?
Yep.
Okay, May 13th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. We'll start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
Flag,
States,
United States,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under
one
God,
nation,
indivisible,
God.
with liberty and justice for all.
Then we'll move on to roll call. Averill,
Here.
Zorn,
Here,
Edlund is here. Now on to our topic today of discussion. We're going to review the maintenance housekeeping position. It is an open position right now, so we need to figure out what, how to move forward with the position. If I can get Sam to move to the next slide. Okay, so today's discussion, current open position for maintenance and housekeeping. The position, our options are, we could either keep the position separate and hire 2 people for the part-time, like it was. Merge the housekeeping maintenance into one full-time position. I put 37.5 hours per week, full benefits. Now, mind you, this is just, I'm just throwing numbers out and just spitballing all of this information. And I figured we could tweak it from there just to have conversation. We could contract the courthouse tasks like housekeeping, mowing, snow removal, window washing, and managing the building. So those are kind of like the 3 options we've been kind of visiting about. Next slide. Okay, so this is currently where we are. The housekeeping worked 20 hours a week and had full single insurance. The maintenance worked 20 hours a week. And then in our budget, we have $51,555.13 for custodial salary, which that was the housekeeping and maintenance combined. And then there was additional $550 for additional custodial salary. And that was at the discretion of the commissioners to use. These are the benefits. There was $21,721.45 a year in benefits. That was paid out. So the total position for the housekeeping and maintenance was $78,826.58 a year. Next slide. Okay, so if we kept the position the same, if we had the housekeeping 20 hours a week, no benefits, they'd have to punch a time clock, which we don't have a time clock here, but when I say that, I'm saying they have to write down their hours that they work. They work during office hours and they follow the cleaning schedule. Maintenance, the same thing, 20 hours a week, no benefits, also punch a time clock, work during office hours. They manage the snow removal when necessary, maintain the lawn, manage the contracts, and then, light construction, painting, if they could do, repairs. The total cost of this, figuring this out, and the average cost, well, let me back up a little bit. The average salary that we're paying out for the current housekeeping maintenance with both of them together is $21.66. We were paying maintenance $21.06 per hour, and housekeeping was being paid $22.26 an hour. So with that being said, I just rounded to 21, just for numbers' sakes. It can go up or down. However, we just threw out 21. So the total of that with the salary and the taxes would be $47,547 a year. Okay, next option. I'm just going to run through these options, and then I thought we could discuss them afterwards. What you guys' thoughts are. Merge into one position. They would work Monday through Friday during office hours, 8 to 4:30. They'd manage maintenance contracts, light carpentry skills, painting, snow removal, and all the housekeeping. This is just if it was just one position, one full-time person. That total cost would be $62,671. And again, the salary are based on $21 an hour, which was the average of what we were paying right now. It's $21.66. And last but not least, third option that we've kind of discussed before that we could do for the position is contract everything out. Now here, I just guessed numbers. I'm not really familiar with maintenance manager contracts. If we contract somebody, for instance, I'm going to pay you so much a month and you're going to maintain the buildings and you're going to do painting repairs and you're also going to manage the housekeepers and all the other contracts that come through. the window washers, the snow removal, you are that contact person. And so I just threw out a number of 1,700 a month, flat rate, unlimited hours. I don't know how many hours they're gonna work a week or anything. It's just, that's your job. And then the housekeeping, I was like, do we do a contracted out? If you do contract it out, would you contract it somebody hourly, or would you throw in a flat rate of, hey, I'll pay you $1,500 a month and you clean when you clean during our time, business hours, and it's one day it's 3 hours, next day it's 2, one day it's, because it varies as far as like, if there is court that day, she's gonna have more cleaning to do, or he are gonna have more cleaning to do, that kind of situation. Is it muddy out? Window cleaning. I contacted, there's a company that is out of Fargo, Brightway is the company. They come into Cooperstown already and do the drugstore. And I contacted them as pricing, and they quoted me, it is $325 if they did the outside only. I typed that wrong. I put inside. I meant that to be outside only. So if they did just the outside, it's $325. But if they came in and did the whole building, every window in the building, inside and outside, it's $895 for all windows. And I just spitballed numbers again. Let's say we do it every other month, 6 times a year, it'd be $5,376. Or if we did quarterly, $3,580. Right now, we don't clean windows, outside windows. So, I mean, it's something there. Mowing, the average cost mowing around here is $150 a mowing a time, and that includes the edging and weed whacking. So 25 hours, 25. We figured out for once a week for 25 weeks. Let's see, mowed once a week for 25 weeks. That'd be $3,750. Snow removal, let's say 25 times, or it'd be $3,750, or 25 weeks of snow removal, however many times. Total guesstimate numbers, we can adjust and tweak however, but the cost of contracting would be $51,276 a year. Okay, next slide, please. Here's the summary of the 3 options. Our current cost is $78,826. If we keep the position the same, it's $47,547. If we contract it out, it'll be $51,276. Or if we merge the position together or merge it into one position full-time person in here, it's $62,672. Now, there's pros and cons to all 3 of these situations. I am not set in sand and stone as to one. And you can, and I'm not saying that these are the only 3 options. I was just throwing out 3 options that I know we've discussed before and you can contract some things and hire others. You can hire somebody to be the housekeeper on our salary, but contract the rest out. Or, I mean, that's just options there. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, the biggest thing we gotta look at too is, the contract deal doesn't seem too bad. And then, another thing we gotta look at is, if that, sounds like that 3% bill passed, so we're gonna be looking for a lot of budget cuts coming, during the, budget. So this is one way to cut those costs down. So the question is, what do we feel is necessary? What do we feel that's gonna be best for everything? Because we don't know, 3% is a huge cut that we have to try and figure out on our end. And this is one way to help figure it out.
I personally, merging the position and having one full-time position, cost-wise, I don't think it's cost-effective. And granted, it is nice to have somebody here every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 at your convenience, not 8 to 5, but the work hours that are here. That is handy. Is it worth the additional fee, the 62,000? Keeping the position the same, if you have 2 part-time people, there's no benefits to that. That's a $31,000 savings.
Which is a huge difference.
Right. And then if you contract it out, it's a $27,000 savings. So it's like $3,000 difference between the 2. Now, mind you, I'm sure with the contracts, I mean, it's hard to know what they are going to be or what we were you know, what bids are, if we're gonna bid out laundry.
Yeah, I
or
mean,
the-
we could bid a lot of it out, which, I mean, you went off average cost, so like you said, it gives us an idea. So, I don't know, Rod, what do
Well,
you
like
think?
like on the outside window cleaning, I think to hire somebody to come in and do like the outside, I think is a good idea because we're not responsible for scaffolding. We're not responsible for somebody being up that high, and taking the risk of that. So, I would say like a quarterly, having the windows cleaned, on the outside, contracting grass and snow. And then if you could just, figure out something on the inside, as far as help
you
to
want-
clean.
Will you flip back to the contract slide, please? There we go. So on the contract slide, the window cleaning quarterly is 3,580, that's them doing inside and outside, which is great. Annually. Mowing and snow removal,
So if we did it by the quarterly, and it's during the winter months, would they just do the inside at that point, or do they still do outside during winter?
That's it.
When I worked at the bank, we had them done during the winter.
Winter, okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
oh yeah, I think the bank uses the same company, yes.
And they do a good job and everything, no complaints anyways type of deal.
It's okay, yeah.
And so the detail, I mean, so we all like contracting out the mowing, the snow removal and the window cleaning. What are your thoughts on,
Another thing too, that depending on what this maintenance person does for a cleaning, we might have to contract carpet cleaning out too.
oh, I didn't quote that. I did not quote that.
Which I don't think is too much more.
Okay. It wouldn't,
I think we'd still be within a $3,000 difference on that too.
Who does that person, or would that person answer to or go to for direction?
the maintenance contractor and housekeeper. Okay, so my thought, of course, this is not cut in sand and stone. My thought was to hire a maintenance manager and have them contracted to maintain the building. His job is to maintain the building and manage all of the people underneath there. He would manage the housekeeper, he would manage the window cleaning, he would manage the mowers, he would manage the snow removal.
Who currently is the one?
And who currently,
Who currently did that, those people go to, if they needed advice or for direction?
maintenance and housekeeping? The commission,
And did you
Commissioner
ever-
Sam, or
or
a lot of them went to you, didn't they? Or who did they go to? if
I
you weren't
I
around?
kind of took on the courthouse, I took on
No,
the
it's
courthouse as a
your-
portfolio, so Brian was coming to me for things.
But Debbie,
I don't,
okay, I'm just gonna interrupt your focus right now with I do want to congratulate you as a commission for the work that you do ordinarily. I mean, your employees, I think you really do, as a rule, you do a good job of minding what is important to the people of the community and to the employees, because the employees do need to be respected and appreciated. I see departments that are here routinely, and so you know if something's going on in their department. But that department, no one, I didn't see anybody ever address a need. So if you're in that department and nobody ever tells you or asks you, how's it going, what are you doing, is there anything we need to do for you? I never, ever saw that.
right,
And that is a real big downfall. In this particular instance, Debbie has worked for you for well over 25 years. Did any of you know that?
I think she was 30, wasn't she?
Yeah.
30 years, I think.
Yeah, yes, Rod. So I'm just kind of appalled at the lack of concern for thanking her and appreciation for her efforts, because she did give up a lot of family life. I know that. To take care of this building. It was dear to her heart. But nobody asked her, what are your thoughts on this? When I was on the school board, I asked,
thoughts on, I'm gonna clarify, What do you mean thoughts on this is?
This, what you're doing to change. Did anybody ask her?
Oh, are you talking about updating the housekeeping list? Is that what you're
Yeah.
discussing? Oh, absolutely.
You did.
Yes, I contacted Brian and I said, Brian, I said, the list that we have is from the old courthouse. We're gonna update this list. I want you and Deb to review it and the meeting's on Monday. Will you please, get a hold of me? Let me know what needs to be taken off, what needs to be adjusted, what are your thoughts are on this list? And Brian's like, okay, I'll let you know. He came and picked up the list and never contacted me. But however, I could have followed up with him and said, hey, did you review the list? I did not, but he could have contacted me and said, hey, I saw this list. These are some of the items that I want to be added, to be changed, to be adjusted. So
But you're in a position of authority and he doesn't feel he's the boss of anybody. And so how is he going to think that he actually can tell you this needs to be changed? mean,
he does. We've had discussions before and we've been able to have this discussion. I mean, to discuss how the courthouse, things that need to be done and stuff like that. So I feel he is very comfortable with being able to tell us the list.
But is Debbie?
That's,
Does your husband answer for you and everything?
that is correct. But he was my contact. I did contact him. And he did clarify and say, yes, it was fine. They were going to look at it and get back to me.
But
Could
I
things
asked
have
you
been
a
done
question.
differently?
I asked you a question, Steph.
Deb,
Does
could,
your husband answer for you?
okay,
Does it
Irene,
have
here's
to
the
do with your
thing.
husband?
Things, the hindsight could have been different. Could I have contacted her myself? I could have. I did not. Would that have made a world of difference? I don't know. But the meeting we have today is the fact that this happened.
It did
And
happen.
now we need to move forward and
Right,
take
but you
care
need to
of the
make
next
right
thing.
What was, you need to make right, you need to give an apology to Debbie for not recognizing her years of service, for not thanking her for her years of service. If you walk away after 30 years there at Anetta Step, are you gonna expect, well, see ya? Or are you gonna expect some appreciation?
I did ask Deb to walk away. None of us asked her to walk away. Deb, we did not want you to walk away. That was not the intent. When you handed your keys in and left, that was walking away. That was you quit the position.
That was hurt. That was,
So-
I've been slapped in the face and I don't need to take this anymore. And what I'm saying is you have done well with every other department you have. But you see them,
Good, well,
you're here with them, but what are you gonna do?
We also
about-
addressed this at the last meeting and they could have said something or made the adjustments that they needed to make. And they didn't. They just handed their keys in. Brian got mad. Same thing, handed his keys in, walked out.
actually, Brian told Deb that it was done. She was handing her keys in. So Deb actually did not say a word to any of us.
And no one addressed it with her, saying,
So-
we sure appreciate, we're sorry this happened, but we sure appreciate all the years of work.
And
The
we
appreciation
do, we
goes-
absolutely do appreciation.
Did you
But-
say that to her? She's
Okay,
here.
okay, well, Debbie, I'm sorry that this didn't get handled right. We do appreciate your service and everything you've done for this county. We really do. It's just a lot of this stuff needs to be updated. Every stuff does need to get changed. One of them is because of budget cuts. We have to look into that. Second of all, there is stuff that didn't get done around here that we understand that she probably wasn't able to do or she didn't have enough hours. That's one of the reasons why we discussed it. We wanted her to bring it up to us and say, hey, I couldn't do this. Okay, that's fine. If you couldn't do it or whatever else, that's fine. We got it. She had to tell us that. And then we could say, okay, she's unable to do this. Let's find somebody else either that can do it. Or again, we could find a contractor and contract it out.
Okay, but you guys, you meet monthly with Wayne, with Amberly, with Kelly, with Sam, all of these departments.
Yeah.
You meet monthly with.
Well, for this time forward, we'll have to be sure to include housekeeping and maintenance moving forward also to be on there if they need to be. If Brian had always, if he wanted to be on the meetings, which he has before for maintenance, was on the agenda.
I request to be on the agenda. I'm not asked by you guys.
Right. Okay, Rod, did you have something to say? Otherwise, we'll just move forward.
I have something along with the maintenance, with the grass, the mowing and stuff. Who's gonna spray for dandelions? Is that part of your consideration?
Yes, there's a
Because you
lot of
just said
contracting
grass.
there's a lot of in here that details that need to be done. This is a punch list of a quick, running some numbers. Also, like carpet cleaning was not put in here, and that's another thing on the list.
I will say
Yeah.
this, as a person who worked in a business office, vacuuming while I'm on the phone is not, it's not a good business thing. You can't hear. You can't hear what people are saying to you. If people are at the window and you've got a vacuum, and it isn't a 2-minute job.
Yep.
So during business hours is difficult at best. Hallway.
I've been doing it for
non-business
20
hours
years,
isn't an
so-
option, so it's.
Steph, your
it'll
office
work.
is nothing the size of these, is it? It wasn't when I was there. And do they come at 7 in the morning? Because that's when I was in the business office at the hospital. They came at 7 in the morning. So by the time business.
I don't know why we're arguing this. Non-business hours isn't an option in this government building with the confidentiality.
Okay, let's move forward with our information. Thank you very much, Irene, for your concerns, and dandelion weed control on there also. We'll write that down.
One of the questions I have, and I guess it's probably more for Wayne, but you know, if like Josh said, you know, with the 3% that we need to be cutting costs, is there any way that we can take that $3,000 snow removal bill and when we just got the county a brand new skid steer, is there any way that we can have the snow removed done by the county? When they come in the morning and move the lot down there, could they zip up and do the courthouse?
And then pay you us for your time or pay the department.
Only thing, during the day, it's hard when there's vehicles outside by the sidewalk.
Right.
Brian says, I said, well, I'll take the narrower bucket. Well, he said that wouldn't fit between the rocks and the vehicles that are parked over the, same with the broom, so. Possible. Somebody came in early, I suppose they'd either have to have overtime. If they're gonna work their 10 hours or.
What
or they
what time do you
get earlier or
what-
something.
what time do you guys normally start down there, Wayne? In the
We're-
morning, so you
yes.
guys are pretty early.
6:30.
You know, and if there's there any way that somebody would come up to the courthouse right away before cars were there and move first thing in the morning?
That's what we have been doing, yep.
Okay, just throwing it out there, you know, it would take a $3,000+ out of that equation.
But is there something that says we have to reduce the budget by 3%?
It's
No,
not reduced,
No,
it's a
you can
3%
only
cap.
increase it 3%.
Yep.
Isn't that you can?
No, but we also, what I'm worried about is by the time you factor the wage, the raises, the benefits on top of that, it's gonna hit that 3%, if not
Right.
more.
But not subtracting.
Yeah. But that's what I'm worried about, that. But usually what we've been running to at least the last few years I've been here, is by the time you factor in wages and you factor in the retirement above those wages and you factor in
Right,
the benefits, it's always above that standard mark, so you're trying to cut the cost somewhere else. That's what I'm worried that we're gonna hit in, so that's what I'm trying to find in the process of doing this with the future budget is, okay, where can we cut a cost that's gonna help us out? Because the last thing I wanna do is cut the employees.
Yeah. and what I understand is you already got your retirement,
Yeah,
everything figured into this year's budget. So next year, you can't increase it more than 3%. Is that
exactly. But basically, we can't increase our current budget more than 3%, from what I understand.
that's what I said?
Okay, so let's, so snow removal, the option to either contract it out or have the road department zip over it in the morning. Is there a one way or?
I like the idea of contracting, you know, like the windows. Then figure out what we'll do with the snow and then like the lawn, you know, hire that out, you know, and
Okay,
as far as dandelion goes, you know, I mean, you just hire Dane to come in and spray it, you
right.
know, once a year or whatever to come in and spray for weeds and dandelions. But
Okay. So guarantee, so for at least this time being, we can discuss snow when it comes closer to that time. Yeah. So for this time being, we'll for sure contract out the mowing and the weeds.
And then the
Window cleaning?
Window cleaning.
Okay. So
And-
window,
get a quote, I would say on the carpet, even, you know, and does carpet need to be done more than once a year? I mean, is once a year enough?
Once a year, but they haven't even been done. We've been in the courthouse for 8 years and they haven't even been done once. That's the problem.
No, I understand that, but I mean,
Yeah,
once-
but
once we
I
go-
think once a year would be fine.
once a year should be suffice. Anything more than that, it'll just, your carpet lifetime will deteriorate faster.
Right.
Unless, I mean, yeah. Okay, now, as far as housekeeping goes, do we want to go back to, you know, see if there are housekeepers in town, do you want to advertise it to, they can be their own to contract that out, or run it through payroll? That is the only option. And do you want it to be an hourly and say guarantee 20 hours a week, or just run it by how many hours it takes you to clean per week? I mean, we can budget for 20, I don't know if I'm not sure how to roll with that one.
I say we contract them both out.
Contract both the housekeeping and the maintenance
Mhm.
contract. Okay, so if we contract the maintenance manager and do that position, we will need to have a written duties as to here's your responsibilities as the contractor, as a maintenance contractor. So that it's
And if,
cleared out in
and
details.
be honest with you, if nobody wants to be an actual manager, they just want to do contract and just fixing stuff, that's not a complete horrible thing either. But they would still have to run everything through the commission.
Building maintenance.
And I mean, we can make that maintenance manager type of deal on one of the commissioners too. And then that way, if there's an issue with whatever major that needs to be fixed, addressed, changed, or a yearly service that needs to be done, he can bring it up to that commissioner.
I kind of took over the courthouse portfolio, so I've been
Okay.
doing that for the last few years.
Okay, I just wasn't sure on
Um,
like all the other contract work, is what I'm saying.
Oh, see, the generator contracts, the annual ones, the sprinklers, the fire system, the other alert systems that need to be done. Right now, that's kind of going through, they just kind of call up here, don't they? And
They
they,
either call or they stop by and then I'm calling Brian and I'm like, hey, they're here right now.
right. And I think one of them didn't even have a contract for a while until last year. I think it was Bob who realized one of the systems weren't being maintained properly. So you kind of need somebody who knows how to maintain, who could do a walk through the building and say, oh, I see these things need to be repaired. The rest of the building people can contact them and say, hey, I broke this, hey, I fixed that. Painting, light painting, we did some work in here that needs painting, who's gonna paint it? I mean, everybody's like, that's that person's job to paint, you know, somebody who will do some painting. That kind of deal. And I don't know what the dollar amount is per month that it should be, or if you want to do a flat fee. I said a flat fee because it's hard to count an hour. Like if you're doing some things at home, it take you 10 minutes. Maybe that phone call took 15 minutes. Maybe 1 week it took them 15 hours and next week they worked 40 hours on things. You know, it's kind of hard to gap figure the hourlies or how many hours it is. So it's kind of like, hey, I'm going to flat fee you. Here's your dollar amount a month. And here's your responsibilities. You know, there'll be no benefits or anything with that. It's a part-time position. I mean, pros and cons. Some of the cons were maybe it's somebody who already has a full-time job and they can't come up during the day. Or I mean, I hate to read into things because you just don't know. And you don't know who will be interested in doing the position until you put it out there. You'd be surprised. And we're always surprised I'll give the same example with the nursing home. I had a position that was 1 day a week and every third weekend. And at first we're like, nobody's ever gonna want to work that. I mean, it's 1 day a week, every third weekend. We put it out there, by God, we had somebody who wanted to do it. And it's been filled a couple of times. So maybe there is somebody out there who's like, you know what, I can manage a building. I understand these contracts. I don't want to work 40 hours a week.
They do have building
No.
managers out there.
They do.
Yes, that do this kind of stuff for a living. What they do is you basically have a building manager and the building manager either has guys or they know people to show up and do the work.
Right. Right.
I think that $5,000 that you spoke about, I think that was set up for the building, for maintenance, that there was money to, so if they needed to buy paint or, things of that, stuff at the hardware store, plumbing or whatever, that was set up, so that they,
No, the $5,000 that we're talking about was over and above additional wages in the budget.
oh,
It was called
was it?
additional
Okay.
wages.
Wasn't there a $5,000 though that was set up for that we could just take money out of?
There was like a
to-
$5,500 deal, wasn't it, for?
That was additional salaries. There
Oh,
is
that
a
was
thousand,
salaries.
there is $1,000 within the house maintenance and housekeeping budget, and that's what was,
Sort of the first page shows it.
that's what was used for,
The budget literally only shows these two items under custodian.
well, and then there's $1,000 at the bottom for,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry, I missed that one.
that's okay. But that was what Deb would use for maintaining the, vacuum and, mileage to go there and back to Fargo to get that maintained.
So then so is that 78,000 part of that, or is it that $1,000 need to be included on top?
That $1,000 will have to be additional, so it's actually 79,826 in that department. That is if they spent
But
every penny.
But we also have to factor in something like that too, when we do we should keep that $1,000 in those other positions for.
So currently, a lot of this stuff is taken out of general
General
courthouse.
courthouse. And so then when we start looking at the budget, I would like to bring we have the interstate power that does the generator. We have the Ace Fire that does our fire, like all these things. So then,
Basically break it down a little bit.
yeah,
more.
so that you guys can start seeing that within the maintenance and custodian budget. I'm not saying that the maintenance and custodian people do these things, but these things it's kind of like the IT budget, we have the Google
Yeah,
subscription, but it's in the IT budget. That's kind of how it would be here, so that you guys are able to see those things, and it's,
mhm.
and then we also have from Vestas, for the rugs, we get our rugs cleaned through Vestas, and then that's through the general courthouse as well.
And I really think that the rugs, not everybody has to do this, but at Annetta Parkview, we don't have somebody come in and remove our rugs and wash our rugs for us. We purchased our own rugs, we vacuum them, we carpet clean them if need be, and then when they get all worn out and not safe anymore, then we replace them.
We can consider that too.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And then when we have, even at the carpet cleaners, if we contract that out, we can have them clean the rugs in.
Okay. I'm going to break down where we at so far. So we agree to outsource the windows, outsource the mowing and the weeds.
Not to interrupt you, but on the windows, we outsourcing just the outside? Or are we doing inside too?
I think both.
Yeah, I agree with both, just because some of these windows get a little big and a little high. And if we hire
Okay.
somebody who does it, or somebody else, even if Debbie wants to come back, she is definitely welcome to come back and do it. If she has trouble doing stuff like that, we could definitely contract that out.
Okay.
And it just seems like when you do have a contract like that, it just gets done at a steady pace and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so do the windows quarterly?
Yeah.
I'd say that's about the cost you're thinking quarterly when you put it up there.
Do we want to make individual motions on things we want to contract out, or should we just do one big motion when we're
That's just kind of review, double check
Okay.
everything else, and then just, we can make a motion on the final list.
perfect? So right now the list is windows, contract inside and out quarterly. And contract mowing for the summer. And the weeds. I'll get a quote on the carpet cleaning, so I'll call out on for that. And then, Sam's going to end the contract with the rugs, okay?
Are we gonna buy our own rugs in, or do we own them and they just clean them, or how does that work?
No, those are their rugs.
Those are their rugs. And I
Okay.
wonder if they let you ask them if you can buy the current rugs that they brought, or we can purchase new.
Yeah. And what that costs.
So prior to ending it, we should probably do the legwork and find out, about that. We'll discuss the snow removal later. And I'm gonna open this up on my,
Steph,
yes, sir.
the generator, mine has been filling the fuel
Okay,
with road department's done. But there's a light that comes on, I think, that says low fuel.
okay.
I don't know if that's back a year or.
I'm
on
not
the
sure.
board or something.
Well, it might be on, you might have keys to open the doors on the generator, and it probably says right on the generator,
We
so.
got keys. Still got the key. I was gonna turn it to Sam, but she said you can't turn it in.
The past commission put the road department in charge of that
The road
key.
department Was supposed to. keep
'Cause you
track
guys-
of
since you
the
guys got fuel trucks and everything
We
else.
couldn't fix it, but
Right.
Yeah.
Do you mind holding on to it until we have a maintenance manager to be able to take it over?
we can hold on to it.
Yeah.
Do it to it.
Okay,
Right now, it's not using too much fuel, but it runs every.
Well, they do system checks.
Yep.
Every 2 weeks or once a month to do a system check.
uh,
A lot of them do.
yeah, we're supposed to monthly, check it, run it monthly. So this if you had a maintenance manager, they'll run it monthly for
Well, I
however
mean,
many minutes. and-
They, a lot of them too have a programming set on them to run.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
But we still need somebody to come once a year to go through and load test everything is what
Right.
we need.
right. And then as far as like housekeeping goes, what are you guys' thoughts on the housekeeping? What would you like to do with that? You want to keep it contracted, yes?
Yes.
With that, do you want to, there are people who are currently housekeepers and they already have their own set wages that they do their own. Or do you want to do a flat rate? Or how do you want to?
What do you think, Rod? Do you think maybe we should just set it to our number, and if somebody wants to take that, we go with it? Or do we just set it to it and say position is negotiable?
I guess we have to kind of come up with a number if we're going to, because we have to kind of figure out roughly how many hours they're gonna clean. Because they kind of all got an hourly rate, so we gotta, we're gonna have to kind of have some kind of a ballpark to even get somebody to agree to do it.
I threw out the ballpark number of $1,500 a month
Yeah.
and that's a flat one, because some days it might take them 2 hours to clean. Some days it might take 4 hours, depend upon, how many, some days it takes all 4. The past position was 4 hours, 5 days a week, 20 hours a week, or however the days
What
work.
what was that number?
1,500.
No. What was the past? What were they getting?
Oh, $22.26 was housekeeping.
What were we paying though? What was our, like, if you were to figure it out in a month? Because, doesn't a
Oh.
housekeeper roughly charge like $75 an hour?
No.
No. I think it varies. Like if somebody cleans a house, they're like, hey, I'll clean your whole house for $75 or $50 versus.
Okay,
a
yeah,
business.
you're right. Yep.
So how much was it? $22, you said 20?
22, 26. So actually it was, if it's 23, 153, 66 a year, divide that by 12. That was $1,900 a month. 1,929 a month is what we were currently paying.
Part of that is because of the longevity of the employee.
Correct. So that's brought down to 1,500 for
Yeah.
a month, and just flat 1,500, however many hours it takes you. You know, because it's contracted, so I don't, if you contract it out, I don't need your hours on a time card. That's just a ballpark figure. Whatever you guys think.
And if Deb wants to come back, we could definitely negotiate that with her, I think. So.
She could apply and put a contract in with everybody else, yep.
Mhm.
But if it's contracted out, I mean, it's,
Yeah. But since she's like got years of service and everything, I'm willing to work with her a little bit on that cost. Are you, Rod?
Yeah,
and with that, the housekeeping is during business hours, not on weekends, not on nights.
Yeah.
It's during the day cleaning.
And I know, and the biggest thing was that the sheriff's office got a big safety concern over that, so.
And the office staff will have to
Yeah.
work with the housekeeper for, if there is vacuuming to be done, you know, you guys go home at lunch, or you guys want to be there and you're like, hey, I'll just hold calls, or, you know, we've done that at work. I mean, the housekeeper will come in, he'll be vacuuming my office, my phone will ring.
Yeah.
And he'll quit and he'll step out, you know, and he'll come back. I mean, yes, my office is not as big as this one is either. It's not a daily vacuum that we have in our office. They come about once a week or every 2 weeks, and in between time, if I really have popcorn everywhere, I'll clean my own, you know, but yes. Okay, so back to where we were, housekeeping. Do we want to advertise for $1,500 a month? Do you like that number? Is it a workable number?
I think
if you had
that,
to take the go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say, I think it is, but I think if, like I said, if Debbie wants to reapply and take that position, we are definitely willing to negotiate the price with her on that due to her years of service.
That we could just, yep, that could be,
Same thing with
Once her
Brian.
application came
Same
in.
thing with this other maintenance deal. I know it's be a little tough with Brian in the road department, especially if it's during the day. But if he definitely wants to come back and do maintenance, some kind of maintenance contract, we would definitely be willing to work with him on that. So,
oh, I did use the right number. Okay. Oh, I did. Look at that. Okay. She just corrected me. I actually I'm better than I thought. That $1,000 for materials and supplies is actually in that total 51,000.
okay.
So I did skew it a little bit, so it should actually be 50,555 for custodial salary, $1,000 for materials and supplies.
So then those
But-
positions would be 1099, so there'd be no.
1099,
Or any withholding,
correct.
they'd be totally responsible for their own taxes quarterly or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
And then no benefits.
Yep.
So then your total position, when you bring that down, take all of those benefits out of there, that you're down to 67,000.
If we scroll down to the screen where we did have that figured out, it was,
That was like 50.
This one?
No,
Or did you want
next
to go
one.
back?
The contracting one. That's the
well,
option.
yeah. The contracting one, it would be like $1,500 a month, 18,000 a year. So it'd be 51,000 if we outsource these things, you know, outsource everything. You know, but I did guesstimate on the mowing and the snow removal. I did guesstimate on, you know, the maintenance contract. I guessed, I just threw a number, spitballed a number. So we'll advertise for $1,500 for housekeeping contract. Okay, now the maintenance manager contract, do you guys a flat fee, $1,700 a month? Again, I just threw a number out there. It's up to you guys to run numbers. They would be, that person would be the contact person to, let's say, me or the commission. And then that person will also manage the rest of the contracts. So all the other contracted people, he would be their point of contact. So the generator, the mowing, the Allied Fire, or whoever you guys use, Nardini, whoever, they would contact the maintenance manager for their annual renewals, inspections, their everything. And I just threw a flat dollar amount because you just don't know. And I don't know of any situations, or we can say negotiable, or, it's. I just couldn't figure out, it's hard to say, it's $20 an hour or $21 an hour. It's hard to put an hourly number on it when you're on there, because how you keep track of the hours. But. And if we do in doing the maintenance contract, it would have to be very spelled out, detailed as to the expectations of the position and stuff, so.
And if some reason somebody wants to take over both positions and make it a full-time deal, we can maybe negotiate that.
If they want to contract out everything, they want to say, hey, I will do the housekeeping, I will do the,
Maintenance,
nope, that's a full-time position. That's if they're our employee. But if somebody wanted to contract everything out, or are you talking employee?
well, employee, whoever else, but
if they-
I'm just saying if they want to take over both contracts,
Oh,
we can negotiate some benefits with them too.
That would be
that would be this one.
Yeah.
This is if one person's interested in the whole entire position, full-time, they're expected to be in-house 8 to 4:30, 5 days a week. They will manage, we won't outsource the mowing or any of that, because that will be their expectation.
I still think we should at least do windows. Because
Okay.
like I said,
Okay,
the windows are high and there's a lot of
Right.
them. And I understand that even a full-time person, it is very, very difficult for them to get to them. So I think we should at least contract the windows out. And then that way we know for sure they're done. And then we don't have to worry about, like Rod said, somebody climbing scaffolding, falling, getting hurt, whatever else. It could be a safety issue, and that's not put them into that factor.
okay. So contract windows for sure.
Yeah. And carpet. Well, no. How about we keep carpets in with the full-time, and then if they don't feel like they could do the carpets or whatever, we can negotiate it and see how much a carpet clean would be.
Okay, so we want to advertise for one of two things. We're looking for either a full-time position,
Or part-time with contracts.
a full-time position that is housekeeping, maintenance together. Or
What was not to interrupt you, Steph, sorry, but what was the price of the full-time position without the window cleaning? What are we gonna,
62,671.
and that'll be with benefits, or is that
Correct.
including the benefits?
That's
That's
including,
with the benefits.
yeah, that's including
Okay.
them.
Okay, I'm going to
Okay.
screenshot this slide that breaks down the difference for you, Rod. Then you can,
That'd
Then-
be great.
yeah. Oops. That is something I can do when I find it. Let's go to OneDrive. There you go. And I'll just give you the last page of the compare options. There you go. I love technology when it works. There.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So going back to where you want me to do. Advertise,
Part-time as contracts and advertise full-time employee.
okay,
And
And-
that's up to the, depends on what the person wants.
okay. I'm cool with advertising with different positions, 2 positions to see if anybody's interested in either or, and then after that, we can interview people. Most time it's like a committee that does, or a couple people that interviews the person. Interview the people to find out which direction to go.
Yep.
Sam will let us know. Would that work? Okay,
Or do you want to do the interviews?
No. No, I'm not the department head of that. So do you want me to advertise in the paper for 2 weeks?
you know, Facebook is such a better advertisement, I will say, people see that.
I think legally we have to.
Oh, absolutely, put in
Yeah.
there too.
And
Yeah.
and then do you want it by a certain date, like 2 weeks from, I think,
2 weeks.
if I get it in today, it would have to be by noon, so I'd have to kind of get on it right now for the ad to get it in the paper for this week, run it for 2 weeks, then you guys can look at those, your next meeting.
Do we have a formal application here for people to fill out? We do, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, just thought of that.
Yep, you do. And then I can touch base with whoever these are the applications that I received, and then you guys can kind of go from there.
I mean,
Do you want what deadline do you want them back?
maybe by the end of this month, we can revisit it to
Mhm.
see if people go through and,
That or, well, because we got a meeting Monday, so probably by the following I guess following meeting, and if we have to have an emergency meeting on it, or if we have to,
sometimes it's easier,
Yeah.
yeah. The next meeting in June is the 9th.
Yeah.
So if they could get it, if you advertise it this week, next week, by the end of the month
yeah.
for the first round, and we can see if we get anything and then we can go from there.
Yeah.
To run it again, or,
So do you want application submitted by like 30th?
sure. All right, should I put together a motion for the contract stuff that we have currently agreed upon?
Yes.
Or, well, one of you guys, since I can't make them.
Oh. How should I word it? Make a motion to accept the changes for the new contracts and the new full-time position of the Griggs County Maintenance.
Advertise.
For advertisement and I guess everything else,
Including
Eh.
the windows.
including windows, carpet,
mowing.
mowing, and everything else that we have discussed.
Windows, mowing, weeds, carpet. And then advertise for, I'm putting words in your mouth, which I shouldn't be, but
No,
just to
that's fine.
clarify.
You have the list in front of you, so.
Contract housekeeper, 1,500 per month. Contract maintenance. Are you guys
1,700.
1,700 per month? Or if interested, full-time maintenance / housekeeper.
During business hours.
And right,
Because like she said, it's a safety deal.
we have a motion on the table from Josh. We have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Rod. All in favor?
Well, we gotta discuss it first.
Oh, any discussion?
Any changes that you feel need to be made or changed there, Rod?
No.
Any discussion? Any other discussion? Barring none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. We could revisit the snow removal later. We'll just wait and see how this application goes.
Yeah.
Process, if we get any interests.
And then two.
And again,
what-
Deb, if you're interested in this, you can absolutely, you are free to apply for the position.
And we will,
So-
and like I said, since with your years of service, we will negotiate more if you'd like that.
But otherwise, I guess I will be looking for a motion to adjourn.
The one thing is on the snow removal too, is that if anybody would come in with offer, to say, we'll do the lawn and the snow removal. There's a lot of companies that do that, that they'll do both. What, that might be an option too, but that's something we can talk about later.
Yeah.
But
I did reach out to the one that I did reach out to. I didn't get hold of everybody. They do both. So it was but
yep. No, I think that would be a definite option, is that we could get both done. And
okay.
but I agree with Josh too, as with Josh, and as far as with Deb, that if she would want to come take the position back, I would be greatly to have her come back. And I do as well thank her for her years of work. I believe she's 30 years there, so I do appreciate everything she's done.
I echo Rod on that also. Thank you, Deb, for everything you've done and being with us. That is great. All right, any other discussion?
I have a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Rod,
I'll second.
second by Avriel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned at 10:36.